This episode sponsored by Lake Monster Details, producing the Don's Light and Magic Legacy line of parts, offering upgrade parts and decals for accuracy, special effects, and lighting. Visit www.lakemonsterdetails.com and make it glow. Also sponsored by Decals, producing aftermarket replacement decals and custom quality graphics for your favorite spaceships. Visit www.gcals.company.site and add some personalization to your sci-fi models today. Also sponsored by Mask Design, boldly going where no masking kit has gone before. Take your model to the next level of detail and accuracy with a masking kit from Mask Design. Visit Mask Design on Facebook or click the ordering link in the notes below the video.
Hey, what's up, fellow modelers? Will here. Welcome to the Ensign's Chair. So, I'm going to call this episode 1.5 because this is just basically a quick update. I'm not really doing much in this. There's just a couple things I want to talk about, and I didn't want to take up the first half of an episode, a build episode, talking about it. So, I'm going to talk about a couple things with the paint as far as the Mask Design masking kit. And I want to talk about a couple of lighting options as well. I know I said I wasn't going to dilly-dally. This isn't going to dilly-dally much. But I did want to talk about a couple of things before I get into the build. A couple of things that have been brought to my attention. And some other things that I've seen or discovered getting ready for this build that I want to put out there. So give me a minute. I'll put you on the bench. We'll get to work. Alright guys, so as I'm getting ready to start on this model, there's just a couple of things I wanted to talk about real quick before I get started on it. I'm getting ready to work on starting doing the lighting. I still haven't been able to find the flasher board that I've been looking for. I don't know what happened to it, but I'm going to look around a little bit more for it. But if I can't find them, I'm going to order a new one. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to share something with you real quick about that here in a minute. But first starting off, I wanted to go over some paint issues because the list of paints that come with the Mask Design paint mask kit, some of them have been hard to find. Some people have reported. So I've got a couple alternatives, and some of them have been verified by Gary as being well, at least one of them was verified by Gary as being an exact match alternative. So most of this was easy to find either at Michael's or at Hobby Lobby. There's the Craft Smart White, just a plain white. And then the first issue I ran into was it calls for Craft Smart Stormy Gray, and I could not find it. Michael's carries Craft Smart. Hobby Lobby does not, at least not any of the Hobby Lobbies I've been to. So what Gary said was this Deco Art Zinc is an exact match for the Stormy Gray, for the Craft Smart Stormy Gray. So if you can't find the Craft Smart Stormy Gray, you can use this Deco Art Zinc, and it's according to Gary an exact match to what the Stormy Gray looks like. So I've got a bottle of that because I couldn't find the Stormy Gray myself. And then we've got the Craft Smart Silver, and some of these you can use any. The silver probably doesn't matter. You could probably use just about any brand of silver, and you'll probably get about the same result, just like he says with the white. So, but the white, I will say, you got to be careful. There are different shades of white, so make sure it's a plain white, not a cottage white or a wicker white or anything like that. Just a plain white. Let's see. The other color we've got is I did find the Craft Smart Deep Gray, and again, the Craft Smarts I've only seen at Michael's, not at Hobby Lobby. Now, I ran into an issue with the Deco Art Dolphin Satin. I couldn't find that at either my Michael's or my Hobby Lobby. But I did find an Apple Barrel Dolphin Gray. And Apple Barrel some people will say, oh, it's a Walmart brand, it's probably cheap. No, it's made by Plaid. Plaid also owns, they own Folk Art, I believe. So it's basically the same paint. It's just branded differently and packaged differently. But the only downside of this is a gloss, but it won't matter because the way I'm going to mix it, and then by the time I put my my coats, my matte coat and all this all blend in perfectly. So it's not really going to matter. It does call for a dolphin satin, but I did find this dolphin gray. I do not know how close this matches, so we're going to find out. I did message Gary a little earlier about trying out another paint color and let me know how that worked, but I didn't ask him about this one. So maybe we'll find out, but if not, I'm just going to give it a try. It's a dolphin gray, so hopefully it's pretty close to what the Decal art is. So, but that's what I'm going to try. And then there was the Moody Blue from Decal art. And the other issue I ran into, so 3 issues I ran into finding the exact paint. This it calls for a Decal art slate blue. Now I could not find that Decal art slate blue at Michael's or Hobby Lobby in my area. So I actually talked to there was a painter in the aisle looking at paints. Someone that actually does canvas paints and artistic paints and does it for a living. And I asked her, I said, well, do you have a good idea of what a slate blue should look like? And she was familiar with it because she does a lot of painting and she uses slate blue. And she showed me this colonial blue and said that this was what she would expect a slate blue to look like. So I don't know, again, I don't know how close this is. I did message Gary about this and ask him to take a look at this when he gets a chance and see if it's a close match. But you know, if I don't hear back from him, I've got a little bit before I can start the painting. So hopefully I'll hear back from him and I'll give you guys an update as well once I do hear something back. But from what I'm being told, this colonial blue should be pretty close to what a slate blue should be. So hopefully we'll get some confirmation on that. And then I did get the Windsor blue from Folk Art. And I actually already had this sea glass because when I was looking at a bunch of greens for my Bird of Prey build, I had this. So I already had a bottle of this Decal Art sea glass. And I could not find the Decal Art pewter satin. So I did find a Folk Art pewter, which is a metallic though. So I don't know, I mean, this is being used for a metallic looking part. So I don't know how that's going to look. But we'll give it a shot and see. Hopefully it's a close match again, because you know, some of these paints, it's just my local Hobby Lobbies and Michael's aren't carrying some of these paints. And then I did find the Ceramcoat Blue Heaven. So actually, all in all, 4 paints that were on the list that I had to find substitutions for, and time will tell how good those substitutions are. I need to watch Gary's video and see if I can tell if this pewter is a darker, kind of a darker color. I think it is, but I'll take a look at it and see. But anyway, just sharing with you some of the replacements I'm looking at for the paints. If you're having a hard time finding some of these, hopefully I'll give it Gary and we'll see if he can confirm if some of these are good matches or what good alternatives are, because just those 4, I couldn't find them at either my Michael's or my Hobby Lobby. So that being said, so painting, that's all I've got with paints. And then I'm getting ready to start lighting this, and I just want to talk about a couple things with the light. So first of all, there's these clear pieces, okay? Now I have seen a number of people talk about drilling this this one piece out and putting fiber optic in and all that. And I don't know why people are lighting this part. The only part that should light is this piece that sticks out here. I've looked at the directions. I've looked at the paint guide. I don't know where that's coming from. But let me switch you over to my desktop and let me show you something. All right, so I pulled up screen grabs, which you can find screen caps if you just do a search for Star Trek 3 screen caps. There's a website that does screen caps for all the movies, all the series episodes and everything. So if you need screen caps for something, just do a search for USS Grissom screen cap, or I'm sorry, Star Trek 3 screen caps, or whatever episode you're looking for. There are a couple other episodes that appear, and I'll talk about a couple of those in a minute. But so these I pulled up from Star Trek 3. And this is the Grissom as it first comes into view. And remember now, all these nav lights are steady ons, so they wouldn't blink. The only thing that blinked was the strobes. And in this image, you can see the one light under here, which is, I believe, red, and then green would be on this side. It doesn't show up very well, but you can barely make it out on this corner here. And let me do another. I think if I go one more frame forward, you can see it better. There's another one. Let's see, right here. All right, so you can see that red and that green underneath, but there is no light. Nothing back here is lighting up. So I don't know where that came from that you needed to light this, any part of this on this the back side of this piece, because there's no light coming from that. Not in any of the frames do I see that light up. So, and again, like I said, remember these the navs were steady on, so it's not like they would be mid-flash and even switching between frames. You never see any light come from these two areas here. But you do clearly see the lights underneath. So I'm not sure why people are lighting that up, but it's maybe later on, if maybe the CGI model that they did of the Oberth class, it lit up back here, but definitely not on the studio model. As a matter of fact, let's see. If you look at this image, I think this is what people are drilling out, but there's no light here. It's just a solid piece. So I'm not sure why that's why people are lighting that up. There's nothing there to light up. It's just a solid piece of the model. And let's see if I can flip through these. I might be going the wrong direction. I probably am. It's the way it happens. But there should be an image of the full back end of this. Yep, I went the wrong way. Sorry. Go back the other way. Reverse. So back up. I'm looking for, I've seen a couple at an angle, but there's a shot of it straight on. All right, right here. If I can get this thing out of my way. All right, but you can see there's nothing back here to light up, unless I think there's light coming out of this, but again, in the screenshots, I don't see any light coming out of any of these anywhere on this back pieces here. I only see light on the underside. So I don't know. It's up to you. You know, light them if you want, but and maybe that's what light is supposed to be coming from, is here. But again, I don't see it on the screen caps. So it's up to you. You know, it's your choice as a modeler whether you want to light that or not. But I just don't see it. So. I won't be worrying about lighting that. I'm just going to light block this, and then I'm going to use an SMD for these lights on the underside here. So, just my 2 cents. I don't see it myself. So, do what you will with that information. But so, other than that, though, I'm waiting on. I got to find that board, and if I can, I'm going to have to order another one. And just that lighting, I just didn't see that. So. The other thing I want to talk about too, though, if you're going to light this, and if I can't find my board, I'm going to order another one. What I had was I had the navigation strobe board from Tenda Controls, and prices went up since I bought it. I bought it, it was like $32 or something like that, but now it's $43, $48 with shipping. But I want the navigation strobe board because I want my navs and my strobes to blink. I want my strobes to strobe, and I want my navs to blink. So I'm going to order this board. This is what I had. If I can't find it, I'll order another one. But I just wanted to point out, and some people may hate me for pointing this out. I love Tenda Controls, but so this is the exact same board for the Grissom that you get for this nav strobe board. It's just that it doesn't have the blinking navs enabled on it, is what I'm guessing. Either that or you're just not connecting them on this board. But the thing is, this board's $65 plus shipping and handling. You can get the exact same board with more features for $43, $48 plus shipping and handling. So I'm not sure what the discrepancy is there, but now that I put that out, I'm going to hurry up and order one of these boards before the price changes. But you're basically, if you're buying the Grissom board, you're buying the same board as the nav strobe board for the refit with less features, and you're paying more money. So again, just put that out there. You do what you want to do, but and like I said, some people may hate me for putting that out, but I think it needed to be said. And with that, I am going to hurry up and order one of those boards if I can't find this one real quick. So but those are just two things I want to put out. Let me switch you back to the desktop here. All right, guys. So the only other thing that I want to mention in this this short update is now this was mentioned to me by Andrew. I had heard this mentioned before, and I also noted some discrepancies. But basically, make sure you look at your box, because on your box, on the one side with the artwork where it shows you where to place the decals, which by the way, I don't know why, I'm pretty sure Round 2 has had this issue before, and I don't want to turn this sideways because I got these parts in here, but they've had this issue before where they've made these references, and at least I think they have, maybe I'm thinking about this model, but I thought there was another model where they had done this, where they had put the images over and then the lines didn't actually point to the actual decal, it just pointed to a part of the ship, and the lines didn't. So I don't know, hopefully they fixed that issue. I swear they'd done that on another model, but I could be wrong. I could just be thinking about this one. But it does say on your box art to make sure you realize that decals 22 through 31 are only for the next generation models. So if you're doing the Grissom, you don't want to use decals 22 through 31. And I also noticed that too, because I was looking at it. I noticed that when you look at the studio model photos, it shows transporter emitter pads. Well, transporter emitter pads are a next generation thing. You don't see those on the Kirk era spaceships, starships. So and I noticed that because I was looking at getting the photo etch set because it had these, and then I'm like, well, you don't see that on let me swap you back here real quick, show you something. All right, so I was saying you don't see basically after Star Trek 3, the next appearance of the Grissom model, the O-berth model, is in the Naked Now. And actually, I'm sorry, I take that back. You briefly see the O-berth model in the background of the space dock scene of Star Trek 4, just before it shows the angle where they're approaching the Excelsior, and then they do the flyover and show the Enterprise. In the background, when it shows the shuttle pod from the outside, you see the Grissom, and I think it was relabeled for that as the Copernicus. Well, when they did the Naked Now, they didn't relabel it. As a matter of fact, if you zoom in, you'll see that the I think this is NCC 640 is the same registry they use for the Copernicus for Star Trek 4. So they didn't relabel it, and they also didn't have time to well, basically they said that they didn't have time for somebody to go and relabel it, and back in the day in low def TV you wouldn't have seen that, but now with the HD TVs, and now you can clearly see this is still labeled as NCC 640. So but the emitter pads, you actually can see they're not on this model, and I don't know in this video how well this is going to pick it up, but they're not on this model yet because, again, like I said, they didn't have time to make changes to it. So you actually don't see the emitter pads show up until the drumhead was the next episode that comes up in, and then let's see if I can show it. And again, I don't know how well this is going to show up with this recording, but you can clearly see, at least from where I'm looking at on my computer screen, you can clearly see the emitter pads are on there at this point. So that's the first appearance you see of those emitter pads, and also the additional decals I'm sure were probably added at that time as well. So just wanted to verify that for you and show you that, yeah, you indeed you don't use decals 22 through 31, which also means you don't use these docking ports apparently. I'll look back at that and make sure of that. It's actually odd where these show up, because they show up on the pylons, I think, or no, it's the secondary hull maybe. I gotta look at it again, but anyway, just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. You don't get into building this and start using all these decals if you're doing and really it's up to you. If you're aware of it and you want to use the decals, and even if you're building a Grissom, again, it's your model, it's your build, you do it the way you want to do it, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So anyway, guys, I mean, it's pretty much the update I want to put out for now. I'm going to call this update 1.5, episode 1.5. It's just a little update. I'm going to start working on the lighting. Again, I've got to try to find that board, and if I can, I've got to get that board ordered so I can get it in so I can start doing light testing as I go along. My thought is to build this in the order that Gary does it on his paint guide. So that means I'll start on the top, and then I'll probably do the top, and then I'll probably do the bottom separately and mesh them together. I got to see how that's going to work out. It might be better to do it and then maybe not assemble it, and I don't know. I'll take a look at it. I'm still debating that actually, but I would like to do this in the order that Gary did it, but we'll see how that works out as far as the wiring for the lighting. It might be easier to do it the way that Boyd did it and work from the base up. So anyway, again, guys, thank you for watching these videos. I appreciate everybody watching these and the feedback I get, and also everybody that points out stuff that maybe I forgot to mention. So if you haven't subscribed to my videos, please hit that subscribe button down below. You don't have to, but please hit that subscribe button, and then if you want to, you can hit that little bell icon, and that'll give you the updates as they come out. But if you really don't want to subscribe, please, if you get anything out of these videos, again, just hit that little thumbs up button. Let me know that you got some use out of it. But again, guys, thank you again for watching. Please show some love to Cass over at Lake Monster Details, Gus over at Decals, and Gary over at Mask Design. Those links are always in the notes below. Until next time, keep modeling.